I'm pleased to announce the following appointments. The Honourable Fayval Williams, MP, will assume duties as Minister of Finance and the Public Service. Senator Dr. the Honourable Dana Morris Dixon will assume duties as Minister of Education, Skills, Youth and Information. And Mr. Matthew Sabuda, MP, will reassume his role as Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. These appointments are designed to maintain stability and minimize disruption in the functioning of the government, but at the same time, pivot towards a growth-oriented economic policy, as well as to make a priority and focus of human capital development. To help drive this pivot towards growth, I have assigned my senior advisor, Mr. Alec John, who is highly regarded for his financial expertise, to work closely with the Minister of Finance, newly minted Minister Fayval Williams, as well as with other private sector stakeholders. Also, the consolidation of the skills portfolio, including heart with education, will help to drive our focus on human capital development and to better integrate technical and vocational skills training into the education system. Mr. Matthew Samuda, as Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, will continue the significant progress we have made in the provision of water and environmental protection.
My question is, what went behind making the decision to make Fayval Williams our new Minister of Finance and Dana Morris Dixon our new Education Minister, and when was this decision made?
Well, the decision is effectively made now. If you're wondering when my mind settled on these things, maybe 5 minutes ago. No, the truth is that the Prime Ministerial prerogative to determine members of the Cabinet is not beyond the questioning of the public, and I appreciate the question. Minister Fayval Williams, you will recall, was actually a minister in the Ministry of Finance. If my memory serves me correct, you were a Minister of State and then a Minister without portfolio, and served with distinction at that time. So she's not new to the portfolio. If you were to look at her resume does recommend her to the position. In addition, and just to be clear, this business of people presenting their academic qualifications as a basis for political office is not something that I necessarily make a priority in the decision. But the truth is that the stakeholder community that she will serve specifically would want to know that someone who is going to be in that area has some technical competence. And so I don't think there could be any question about Minister Williams' technical competence in that field. But more than that, she also has practical experience. She worked in the financial sector for many years. She is a business person and has the experience of starting her own business, and therefore she would understand quite a bit about business. Now, just to be clear, the Ministry of Finance is not only about business. As you would recall, a large part of the effort of the former Minister of Finance was in dealing with the unions and the wage issues, and there is something called the public sector that has to be properly managed. And so that person has to have skills in institution building and so forth. The idea, of course, is to ensure that whoever is in the Ministry of Finance is a disciple of the government's policy of fiscal discipline. That is what is really important. I could never put anyone there who is going to in any way depart from the hard-earned gains and sacrifice of the Jamaican people to get us to where we are today. And I'm confident that Minister Williams is a disciple. You know, my experience my life experience in growing up, and I tell the story, sometimes people say I should tell it more, in a one-bedroom board house in Spanish Town. My mother, a civil servant for many years, a single mother, trying to send 2 kids to school. If you ask me what my financial philosophy is, it's about being frugal. Frugality. Right? It's about making the most that you can out of the least resources that you have. So it's also about efficiency. And we never borrowed. I don't like debt. But of course, debt is important, but you have to be able to manage it. So whoever is going to be the Minister of Finance has to have that similar kind of outlook. We're not going to put the country in debt. We're going to manage our affairs properly. We're going to be efficient. And we're going to be respectful of the sacrifice and hard work of people. And I think that Minister Williams would meet that criteria. Clearly, there are other persons in the cabinet who I could have considered. So the decision would also be on the basis of what would be the least disruptive to the operations of the government. And if I were to start to move the ministers around too often, projects that they have started, that they need to see through, things that are important to achieve, that could be disrupted and it could set the government behind. So clearly we look at competence, we look at the fit for purpose, but we also look at the overall operations of the government to make sure it is seamless. We don't necessarily analyze the government's operation in an accurate way all the time. And the truth is that this administration has been probably the most stable administration we have had in the history of Jamaica. We have managed to make massive changes. Seamless, don't skip a beat, without disruption. And that can only inure to the benefit of the people of the country. So stability is an important part of any decision that we are going to make. And I'm certain that this decision will inure to the stability and continuity of government. But bear in mind what I've said and take it seriously. The government is engineering a pivot towards accelerated growth. It's a pivot towards an aggressive pursuit of growth. And believe me when I say we're going to be vicious in that regard. We have conquered the fiscal issues. Now it's time to conquer the growth issues.
The historical value of the moment is also not lost. Minister Williams being the first female, full female,
how could I forget to mention that?
Minister of Finance. All right. And the cleaner now has the floor.
But it's important to know that the decision was not made on that basis. I've seen this argument about the possibility of me taking over the Ministry of Finance. It is always in my purview as Prime Minister to take over any ministry I choose. Then there is this issue of conflict of interest. I mean, just think about it. All the ministers are accountable to me in any event. But would it make sense for the Prime Minister, who has been indicating from more than a year now, and I've been saying these things very clearly, in the hopes that those people who write the headlines would pick them up, that Jamaica has to pivot, and I've used those exact words, that the new shift is to peace, productivity, to create the virtuous cycle for prosperity, that we're going to pivot to growth. Would it make sense that I am going to then take on the Ministry of Finance when the pivot now has to be growth? And would it also make sense for me to add an additional burden if I didn't give up the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation to the already very substantial portfolio that I lead? I think people forget that I am a minister. I function like all the other ministers, and I have the largest ministry. that is delivering the jobs, the infrastructure, the environmental protection, the housing, which is moving rapidly. Yes, I am a minister and I function as a minister, in addition to doing the job of the Prime Minister. I'm not going to take on any more specific burdens right now, especially when the focus now shifts to really cranking up the growth agenda. And the growth agenda has several elements to it. A critical element which we have laid the groundwork for when we put in place a commission to do a review of the education sector is education. That's a critical element to the growth agenda. Believe it or not, the greatest constraint to growth at this moment is labor. We don't have enough, and we have underemployment of labor as well, and we don't have enough skills to drive growth. So this issue of human capital development requires laser-like attention. So that is where my energy and focus is going to be, along with the newly appointed Minister of Education and Skills. And then another constraint on our growth boundary is bureaucracy. So we are going to have to pivot now to look at the ease of doing business. Put it another way, the cost of doing business in Jamaica. All the processes and the red tape and all the institutions that we have put on more regulation that is just slowing down and hampering business. We have to cut out all of those things now. And then we also must now look at being in an aggressive posture to take advantage of economic opportunities that may arise. And then we must also adopt another posture of creating new industries. And the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation will play a pivotal role in the creation of new industries. In fact, the Office of the Prime Minister will play that coordinating role. So there is a job of work to be done, which is slightly different from the work that we have focused on in our last two administrations, which is to get the fiscal arrangements of the economy right, to get the economy stable, to get the economy to a level of resilience where it can respond and recover quickly. And I think we have settled that. Now let's shift now to the other agenda. And in all of that, we cannot forget the most important thing, which is the pain points, the suffering of the people of Jamaica. That, you know, it's one thing to drive on the fancy highways that we have built, but when you come off them and then you have to be rocking in the pothole-filled roads, you're upset. We understand. We get it. But we are not going to be like other governments who tell you that, yeah, we're going to do it and can't do it. If it's one thing you can know about this government, if we tell you we're going to do it, it's going to get done, because we have figured out the way to make sure that whatever we say, we back it up with resources. We understand that care is about saying you care, but care is also about showing you care. So yes, you know, we get criticized because we don't say we care enough, but we do show that we care. And so you're going to get the government that does both. We're going to tell you we care, and that's the populism that any government can give you. But we're going to show you we care by managing the economy well and getting the resources to spend on the challenges that you face. So when we are making much about the new buses that we have bought, that's a tangible way to show we care. And we're going to expand that right across Jamaica, and we're going to help people with transportation to reduce the cost of living that they face. When we talk about caring in healthcare, Minister Tufton was here. We're going to be spending quite a bit of resources in healthcare to show that we really care. We are actually very focused on putting back the care in healthcare. Anyway, I'm giving you a speech you didn't ask for.
Thank you so much.
First,
All right.
female Minister of Finance and the Public Service.
All right. Well, allow me to just say that I am deeply honored and profoundly humbled to be given this opportunity to be Jamaica's Minister of Finance. The role is one of great responsibility, and it comes at a pivotal moment in our country's journey. We're in a time that continues to demand vision, resilience, and a steadfast commitment to building a future that offers both stability and opportunity for all citizens. I assure you, I am ready to work tirelessly to continue to make this vision a reality. But let me say as well, finance is more than balancing the books. It is about ensuring that every resource we allocate, every policy we enact, and every initiative we launch is a step towards a more prosperous and a more inclusive economy. And in this role, I pledge to prioritize accountability and innovation and to listen closely to the needs and aspirations of those we serve. Our economy, like those across the globe, continues to face challenges, but I see in these challenges incredible opportunities to continue to build on the foundation that has been created to create an even more resilient country. We will continue to invest in infrastructure needed for sustainable growth, and you heard the Prime Minister when he talked about the pivotal moment where we are to pivot towards accelerated growth. He mentioned that education, the ministry from which I'm leaving, and congratulations, Minister. I will download to you everything I know to make your journey, a better one. He talked about the constraint on growth, being the bureaucracy. How do we improve the ease of doing business? How do we take advantage of economic opportunities? How do we create new industries? And I see the Ministry of Finance as the engine behind all of that, helping to facilitate economic growth that we all want. We have had, we've had growth for a number of quarters, but where we need to go now is acceleration of that growth. So I am committed to the continued pursuit of fiscal prudence and creative solutions, one that values the expertise of all the members at the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. I will seek to collaborate with industry leaders, civil society, and most importantly, the citizens we serve. My goal is to build not only for the present, but for generations to come. Together, I know that we can continue building an economy that reflects our values of hard work, integrity, and inclusivity. And I want to thank the Prime Minister for his trust and confidence in me, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you to realize a future of economic prosperity and shared success. Thank you.
Fayval Williams, as I said, is known as the Education and Youth Minister. Well, what qualifies her on paper? As I indicated to you earlier this week, she is eminently qualified by her academic training and technical competence in the field of finance. She is a chartered financial analyst, CFA by profession, a chartered financial analyst. She has an MBA with concentration in finance from the prestigious Wharton Business School, yes, at the University of Pennsylvania, yes, an Ivy League university in the United States of America. She also has a first degree with distinction, a BA cum laude, in economics from Harvard University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. So she went to two of America's best, most prestigious universities, two of the Ivy Leagues. As I said, Mrs. Williams was elected MP in 2016. In terms of her work experience, she's a former executive director of Kingston Properties Limited. Prior to Kingston Properties, Fayval Williams served as Chief Investment Officer at JMB Limited from March 2005 to September 2007. She had responsibilities for investment, spanning the trading department, investment research, and pensions. Also during the period of September 2002 to February 2004, Mrs. Williams consulted with JMB in the areas of market risk management and investment research, where she led that company's efforts to develop investment research capabilities. Fayval Williams also served as a head of the valuation and pricing team for JMB's public offering. In 2004, she consulted with the Financial Services Commission in the area of research and policy. Prior to returning to Jamaica, Fayval Williams was a senior vice president at Putnam Investments in Boston, Massachusetts, in the United States. Putnam, a top 10 global mutual fund manager. Her investment work spanned a broad cross-section of industries. She also had portfolio management responsibilities for an equity portfolio product and led Putnam's efforts to incubate a market-neutral hedge fund. Fayval Williams' investment experience also includes approximately 5 years as vice president at Wellington Management Company, also in Boston. Her focus was on fixed income securities investments. Prior to being at Wellington, she was a fixed income analyst at Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and shared a portfolio management responsibility for a U.S. $3 billion portfolio. She was also a member of the team that provided macroeconomic and market input for both the strategic and tactical portfolio decisions. Fayval Williams also gained experience at the Equitable Real Estate Investment Management in Chicago, Illinois. While there, she performed valuation analysis on commercial real estate properties. She also worked as an information systems analyst for Morgan Stanley, an American multinational financial services corporation that provides securities products and services to customers, including corporations, governments, financial institutions, and individuals. So, she's not only qualified academically, but she has a vast experience in finance. Yes? So, we didn't know this. Yeah? We know that I knew that she was bright. Yes? But I didn't know that the experience was so vast and of such depth. Fayval Williams went to Ferncourt High School in St. Anne before she migrated to the United States. Yeah? And I will tell you, I've known Fayval. I consider her a friend. She was one of our founding members here, directors and shareholders at Nationwide NNN. She has subsequently given up that investment. I will never forget the day when she called me and said she had to leave NNN and she will have to divest herself of her stake in NNN because she had made the decision to go into politics, right? So I know her from then. Yeah, she is bright, hardworking, diligent, yes, dogged in pursuit of her objectives Yes. As I said earlier this week, she's not, the kind of communicator that is going to light up the room. Yeah, no. And that is a part of the job she'll have to work on as the new Minister of Finance now, to get that message across, to communicate. But she is eminently qualified for the job.